Who am I? You sure you want to know? The review you're about to watch is not for the faint of heart. If somebody said it was the perfect Spider-Man game, if somebody told you not a single imperfection could be found, somebody lied. But let me assure you, this starts off like any one of my other reviews. The graphics. I wasn't very impressed at first. The colors and textures were a bit muted for my taste. Definitely a stark contrast from the bright and vibrant looking Vita games I've been accustomed to. The frame rate also tends to stutter from time to time, especially when entering a new area. It doesn't ruin the game in any way, but it is noticeable. NPC models are only slightly better than what you'd expect on the PSP, and while the environments are adequate, they sometimes can look a little bland and washed out. The game also features an open world environment, allowing you to go anywhere you please. It isn't the prettiest looking city, but you won't really notice since most of the time you'll be web slinging through it. It isn't all doom and gloom, however. There is a trade-off. The character model for Spider-Man looks amazing, I should say. You can clearly see where all the resources went. Movement is fluid and graceful, with attack animations that make you look and feel like Spider-Man. It also helps that the Spidey suit has nice texture and detail, making you forgive all the other graphical shortcomings. Little nuances here and there help bring the wall crawler to life. Twisting and turning as you web sling through the city, or taking a moment to refill your web cartridges, you can't help but be impressed by how good Spider-Man looks in this game. You can even see individual fingers on the model, as well as cuts and scrapes to the suit as you progress further into the game. Now that's awesome.
Hey, a little warning next time, huh?
The music is taken straight from the movie, providing great sounding orchestral pieces. If you've seen at least one Spider-Man film in the last 10 years, you'll know what to expect here. I couldn't help but notice the soundtrack was also a little creepy in that sort of Dead Space kind of way. You'll know what I'm talking about when you get to the sewers.
Knock, knock. I need a massage after all this.
The voiceovers are good too. Witty remarks coming from Spider-Man provides comic relief and helps to add character and personality. One minor quibble is that the audio occasionally stutters when the action gets too intense or when the screen gets too crowded. Other than that, the game is a joy to listen to. The controls are based on a very loose version of the Batman Arkham games. No, not the crappy Blackgate one, but the good ones. For the consoles, they're not very tight, but at the same time they're responsive enough for what you want them to do. Web slinging through the city is made easy, as well as the combat. No touchscreen support needed. You have your basic attacks, a counter, and a special move for when you chain enough combos together. Timing isn't too strict, so you're forgiven if you miss a particular command. Although wall crawling can get a little annoying. Since your perspective changes so suddenly, it's difficult to figure out what direction you're facing. Most of the time, it's not a problem, but it can get a little frustrating and nauseating being upside down and having to find your bearings, especially while enemies are shooting at you. Once you get the hang of it though, the controls become a breeze. Moves start to come off naturally, and you'll feel as if you're playing purely off your spider sense. The Amazing Spider-Man does everything by the book. A big open world with a well-presented main story, and little side missions scattered throughout. Abilities are upgraded with XP earned through combat, saving civilians, and collecting comic book pages. Extra costumes and finding audio tapes also help to extend the playability. You won't find anything here that's groundbreaking, but what's available is enjoyable. Combat and exploration can get a little repetitive later on, but the game switches things up just enough to keep you going. Some levels require a little stealth, which is a nice change of pace. I was actually surprised at how well the boss battles turned out. They're pretty cool, and definitely the highlight of making it through a level. Of course, the one aspect this game excels in is the fact that it makes you actually feel like Spider-Man. Web slinging and combat perfectly portray the wall crawler, as well as the occasional wisecracks, which I must admit were quite amusing. The pacing of the game is great, hindered only by the occasional long loading screens that greet you after every new area. Navigation can get a little confusing, as there is no on-screen map once you begin a mission. Some areas can get a little tight, and you might feel a little disoriented as the camera is constantly changing to give you Spider-Man's perspective. Luckily, the level is contained within a small area, so it isn't too bad. It's not the most original game, but with a little patience, there is fun to be had. Quite honestly, I really wanted to hate this game. I've been duped by movie licensed games in the past, so I didn't think The Amazing Spider-Man would have been any different. Even though the game meant nothing to me days after completion, I can't deny the fact that as I was playing, I did actually enjoy myself. The Amazing Spider-Man on the PlayStation Vita comes recommended.